Hi, everybody. Welcome. So we're going to do a quick Pilates class today. So we'll do a little bit of a warm up and we'll focus mainly on our legs today. So we'll come into a little bit of a mermaid, so a side body stretch first. So I'm going to take those legs 90-90 or just a little bit less than 90-90. We're on that left side first. Left hand walks out, right hand up and over. Nice big stretch out. Trying to keep those shoulder blades down the back and trying to reach the body out of those hips. Allowing that breath to be nice and controlled here and starting to draw that abdomen in. So we don't want to do a little bit of arch or curl in that spine. We want the spine nice and long, even though we're tilting off to the side or bending to the side. We'll come all the way up and we'll change legs. So just flipping the legs around the other way and taking that nice big side bend. As much bend in this bottom elbow as you like. Taking the body up and over. Trying to keep that chest open. One last breath. We'll slowly come all the way back up. I'll take a little warm up here. We'll come into our quadruped tabletop. So we're in all fours here. Wrists under shoulders, so we're stacking joints so we're nice and strong. And bring that belly button in. Trying to draw that tailbone back, crown forward. I'll take a little cross body balance here. So we gently want to lengthen that right leg out, trying to get it towards hip height, flexing that foot like we're trying to stand on a wall behind us. I'll take that left arm up as well. So we're drawing the hand and foot away from each other nice and actively. Can we get that left arm up towards our ear height? And notice what's happened to our chest or our hips if they come off to one side. And we square them to the mat. We'll slowly release and come to the other side. Just a little stretch out, start to switch on this core. So got the right hand, left foot at the moment. Trying to keep that spine nice and long. So notice if you're dropping into the belly, trying to lengthen that spine, belly button in. Slowly dropping down. I want to bring that right leg behind us, but this time bent. So we're starting our work. We've done a little bit of a warm up. We're starting to work a little bit into our muscles. So flex that foot, trying to get that right knee towards hip height. Again, noticing if we're dropping into that lower back, trying to lengthen and bring that knee up. Try and square the hips or parallel the hips towards the mat. So the exhale, we want to do a little kick up and let it go back towards hip height. Pushing up as hard as you can, drawing that belly button in to lengthen that spine. Two more times. Up. Try and get it as straight as I can. I just caught myself and the legs going out a little bit like this. Try and get that foot straight up towards the ceiling. So we're keeping that 90-degree bend. And we'll bring that knee back to the ground. And we'll open it up to our fire hydrant. So like a little dog trying to pee on a fire hydrant. So taking out to the side. So take that leg off to the side. Notice if our body's tilting off to a certain direction as we start to take the weight away from the torso and we take it out to the side. We often compensate by tipping into one side or tilting off to one direction. So maybe you don't have to take that right knee quite as high up, just trying to keep everything nice and centered and square. We'll slowly come back to center, release that right knee. Any little adjustments for those knees. And we'll come onto that left side. So we slowly want to bring that left leg up. Try and keep that 45-degree angle, that 90-degree angle. Sorry, 90-degree angle with the knee. Trying to get that knee up towards hip height. Trying to square those hips off, crown of the head forward. Do those little pulses up and down. Trying to kick that heel up as much as we can. Trying not to let that leg come straight. So straight up and down. Take about 4 more. Slowly bring that knee in line with that right. I'm going to take it out to the side. Trying not to let the whole body tip over towards the right. It's nice and controlled. So we should really be feeling the outside of that leg, the glutes starting to switch on. We're using the core and obliques here to try and keep the body nice and stable and centered. Take about 4 more. Coming back to center. Quick little child's pose, maybe a little sway of the hips. Just releasing any tension in the glutes from doing those poses. And we want to come all the way onto our side. So we'll come onto our right side first. So we can have our hands supporting our neck. We've got a little Pilates ball. We can have a Pilates ball under, head lying on the arm, whatever feels good for your neck and shoulder. So we want a slight little bend in that bottom right knee, that left leg nice and long. So finding a nice little point where we kind of balance on our hips, belly button in. So trying to zip that spine nice and long. Don't let those ribs flare out. Don't let the back arch. And then we gently want to bring that left leg up on the exhale. Inhale brings it down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Trying to bring that leg up as high as your body allows without compromising this lower waist. So you notice if we're bringing it up and we're starting to shorten this waist, maybe that lower one's pushing into the mat a little bit more, just bringing it up as much as we can while still keeping everything nice and long in the upper and lower. So we'll be doing a few movements here on our side, working the different areas of our leg. So as you're doing this up and down, just noticing what part of your leg you start to feel this movement in. Is it maybe the outside? So maybe a little bit of the glutes. We'll take about 3 more. Okay, so we want to take little circles. So try and bring that leg to about hip height. So we don't want it too much higher. We're taking the circles almost from that hip joint. Start small. We'll point that foot just as small as you like. If you're nice and stable, you can gently take them a little bit bigger, but we don't want to go too big. So we want everything else to stay stable, those hips to stay stable, the side waist, the upper body, everything staying there, but that leg's just kind of moving around in that hip socket. Switch directions. Doesn't matter if you forget which way you were going. Sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge for the mind when we say switch directions and we haven't quite been paying attention for which way we're going. We can be a little bit like, oh, is this the second way? I'll take a few more times. All right. Keeping that leg at about hip height. We want to try and keep this torso as still as we can, but we want to draw this leg forward in line with our hip, or try to get in line with our hip. This should start to burn a little bit after we've been doing those raises and circles. Trying to take it back just in line with that hip. So we don't want to go too far back this at the moment. We're swinging it forward, maybe starting to feel a little bit of hamstring, maybe a little burn in the glutes because of what we've been doing before. And just noticing as we swing it back and forward, what's happening with that torso. We can still use that top hand for support, for stability. Coming all the way forward and all the way back. Exhale forward, inhale back. Exhale forward, inhale back. Do it twice more. Last time. All right. Whew. I'll give that leg a little rest, a little tap out. So we want to bring both legs in now. So almost 90-degree angle with those knees in front of hips. We want those ankles stacking. We're going to come into our clamshells. So we're still staying on this top leg before we switch sides. So we slowly want to lift that top knee off. Try and keep those ankles or heels glued together. and notice again what's happening in that upper body. We don't want to tip. So we can place that top hand either on the hip to notice if the hip's moving back and forward, or we can still use it in front of our chest on the ground block Pilates ball to get a little bit of stability. Trying to really feel the movement from the outside of the hip or from the glutes. You might even feel a little bit inside the thigh and the adductor. You might even feel actually a little bit in the core as we're trying to keep stability in that upper body. So because this is a short leg sequence, short glute sequence, we are getting that burn quite quickly. We are staying on the same side and repeating a few of the moves to build that burn. But light at the end of the tunnel with this, that burn will slowly tone our body. Take our last few here. Oh, I can already feel it. My knees getting lazy. It won't lift as high. All right, last one. And down. All right, we'll switch sides. You might take a little bit of an easier switch than me, changing top to bottom. Again, setting up, trying to get nice and steady. So we've got that little hip dip naturally in our hips, finding a point where we can kind of balance, lengthening that spine, little bend in that bottom knee. So it doesn't have to be completely straight. It's a little bit harder to balance, little bend. Once we're steady, that right leg, that top leg, nice and long, point the foot and bring it up. So again, trying to keep both waists nice and long. So if we shorten this top waist a little bit, notice what happens to this bottom one. Is that sinking and pushing into the mat? Can we try and keep that natural little arch? Like we can kind of slide some of our fingers through. I don't know if my top's in the way. Can't quite see it, but you can slide some fingers through. And I know the natural inclination, I can kind of tell I'm a little bit tilted here, is to kind of look towards that foot. But if we're looking all the way towards that foot and we can see the whole foot, probably got a little bit of an arch in our back. So trying to keep that spine nice and long. Continuing with this raising of the legs as high as your body allows. Maybe this side fatigues a little bit quicker, just because we have been using it for stability on the bottom leg while we're doing that bottom leg already. So that bottom leg's still working. It's not there passively. We are using it for stability. All right, slowly coming to hip height, pointing that foot, and little circles. Doesn't matter which way we go first. We'll go both ways. Trying to keep the whole upper body steady, so it's almost like we're taking that little circle out of that hip socket, or from that hip socket, rather than moving the whole upper body. And keep that bottom leg as still as we can as well. Sometimes it likes to try and move with the top leg. All right, switching directions. I think I just started doing that naturally when I stopped paying attention. Take our last few circles. Should be starting to feel a little bit of a burn. All right. We've got one last move, leg at hip height, and coming forward, trying not to swing the hips or swing the whole body with the leg, nice and controlled. So if it helps you and you've got your stability, you can bring that hand off the ground and hold the hip to notice if it's swaying or swinging. So as we've already worked the outside of the leg and the glute a little bit, doing this forward movement, we might actually feel it a little bit more as we start to come forward. So be careful with the leg, with the hamstrings, with the muscles. We don't want to pull anything. So just taking it to your degree. So if we did this one first without working anything else, maybe you'd get a little bit further up. So just being always mindful as well what we do in class before and after the moves, what muscles we've already used, what might already be fatigued. Take about 3 more. And keep that leg straight. Don't let it bend as it comes forward. Release. Little tap out. Anywhere you feel the tension. All right, So bend those knees now. I'm going to come into those clamshells. So almost 90-degree, maybe just a little bit less. Knees on top of each other, trying to glue those ankles or heels together. Slowly lift that top knee up and drop down. Lift that top knee up and drop down. That exhale takes the knee up and inhale draws them together. Trying to keep that upper body nice and steady. Knee as high as we can. So always find one side. I'm a little bit weaker with this movement. Naturally, we will be with how we use our body day to day, how we stand and sit. We've always got muscles we're slowly or unintentionally stretching, and some we're unintentionally strengthening or using a little bit more. So just being kind to your body if one side's different to the other. We'll take our last few. So open as far as you can. Last one, open, 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 and down. Whew. Okay, we'll come to our back. If you've flipped sides, feel free to change sides on the mat again. So we want to come to a kind of swimmers, but we're only using the lower body today. We won't get into that upper body. So we are concentrating just on our legs. So we do want to kind of activate and start to use the back of our leg, our hamstring to draw up towards the ceiling. We want to be careful of our hips as well, planting the hips nice and steady into the ground. So as we lift one leg, we don't want to tilt all the way over to the other side. So you might bring your hands in a little crocodile, one hand on top of the other, forehead down. Getting nice and comfy on this on the pelvis and trying to tuck that tailbone towards the heels. So we don't want to have a big arch in that lower back, nice long lower back. Right leg comes up. Try and keep that body nice and stable using that hamstring, using the glute. Drop it down. Left leg. And drop it down. Exhale, lifts that right. Inhale, drop it down. Keep switching sides with the breath. The exhale takes the leg up. And the inhale takes the leg down. Try and keep that leg as straight as you can. Try and keep that pelvis as steady as we can. Upper body steady. All right. We'll take it a little bit faster, lift that right. And kind of switch in the air if we can. So we're kind of doing this little kick, like a swimmer's kick. Fast, 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 fast. Keep those legs straight. Don't let the knees bend. And still keep that upper body as steady as we can. Might get little pulse movements now if we're going a little bit quicker. It's harder to keep the upper body as steady as possible. A little bit quicker. Swim, 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 swim as fast as we possibly can. Oh. And release. Maybe a little rock with that tail side to side or this hip side to side. Come all the way up and lie onto our back. So this is a very quick class, so we're not doing too many moves here. We'll do a bridge pose, and we'll slowly add our legs into our bridge. So our Pilates bridge, we want those lower ribs kind of pulling towards those hip bones as much as we can, pushing into those feet about hip width apart, pushing into the shoulders, the backs of the hands, and come up. So we don't want to take a big arch in that back. We want to draw that tailbone towards the knees and those ribs towards the hips. So we're nice and closed off here. Everything's working, that belly button drawing in, those hips or tailbone drawing down towards the knees. So want to get nice and steady here. Don't go too much onto the shoulders like a yoga one. Still want a little bit of pressure into the shoulders and spine, the upper back. So we're very gently going to bring that right leg up Can we bring it straight? You can leave it bent if that's nicer. Slowly lower towards knee height and up. Lower towards knee height and back up. Inhale takes it down. Exhale takes it up. We won't stay here too long because this is quite tough. 2 more. Last one. Bring it up. Put that right foot back down. Whew, maybe a little bit more control than I did there. All right, we'll take that other side, that left leg. Square those hips back up. Rejoin the ribs to the hips. And then bring that left up. And then straighten. You can keep it bent if you like. Slowly bring that leg towards knee height. And back up. Inhale down. And exhale up. Pick 2 more. And slow, controlled. Back down. Oh, and release. All right, we've done a nice little bit of work on those legs. Very quick workouts. This is something you can easily fit into your day while you're watching TV, after you finish work, lunch break, anything like that. If you're looking to target the outer legs, the glutes, just a little whole leg toning. So we'll take a quick little rest here. We'll take those feet out to the width of the mat, gently knocking those knees together. Allowing those arms to come by our side. And just taking a few deep breaths here. So whatever workout we do, whether it's Pilates, gym, cardio, weights, anything like that, we always want to take a little moment after. Allow the breath to slow. Allow that nervous system to calm back down. Because our exercise is a little bit of stress on the body. We want to allow that stress to reduce again before we go back to our daily life. Last few deep breaths. Maybe a little sigh out. Let go of all the breath through the mouth. All right. And we are done. Thanks for joining me for our super quick leg Pilates workout. I'll hopefully see you on the mat again soon.